For this review, we are drawing from the Ligeti project, a huge collection of recordings trying to catalog all of Ligeti's works, but we're only going to be talking about one specific piece. This is from Volume 3 of the Ligeti project, so the piece is György Ligeti's With Pipes, Drums, Fiddles, better known by its much more fun name, Síppal, dobbal, nádihegedüvel. The reason I'm going over this piece is, well, I couldn't find an isolated album that had, this piece and some other works. It was recorded by the Amadinda percussion group, and this is for percussion quartet with soprano. That's really the reason I'm looking at it. I'm about to do a couple other albums and projects. I already did the Goldbeater's Skin, right? That was percussion quartet and soprano. It's a combination I'm interested in, and this is one of the major works for that pairing, so I wanted to be sure to take a close look at it. So this was composed in the year 2000. We're either coming up on or have passed its world premiere. It was premiered either on November 10th or October 11th. I don't know which date format they used. So it's for 5 performers, percussion quartet and soprano. Mezzo-soprano. And it was premiered, and this recording is the Amadinda Percussion Ensemble with Catalin Keralai, mezzo-soprano. This is a 14-minute piece with 7 movements that are all based on poems by Sándor Weöres. That's my best attempt at the Hungarian pronunciation. I really do apologize. So 7 quite brief poems turn into 7 quite brief pieces, but the forces involved are not brief. Let me rattle off as fast as I can the instrumentation list on this. Triangle crotales, 1 pair of cymbals high, cymbals or saucepan, 2 SC high-low, I don't know what those are, tam-tam or gong as low as possible, cowbell muffled, low cowbell, Japanese bell high, Japanese temple bell, tuned, Burmese gongs, tuned or temple bells, 4 various field drums, 2 rototoms high, bongos or congas, tuned, 3 bongos, tam-tam, 2 toms, one of them low without resonance, log drum, 2 various wooden drums, wooden drum low or slit drum, 2 bass drums, middle low, 4 temple blocks, wood block, sand block, claves, castanets, Japanese wooden rattle, sistrum, chimes without pitch, maraca, ratchet, guiro, vibroslap, slapstick low, 2 slide whistles, train whistle or whistle, 2 mouth sirens, 2 police sirens, quite high, preferably high, metal whistle, sopranino, ocarina, 2 soprano ocarinas, 3 various shepherd flutes, 4 chromatic harmonicas, lion's roar, 2 flexitones, glockenspiel, xylophone, vibraphone, 2 marimbas, and I stumbled on the very last one, bass marimba, I think. All of that for 14 minutes. Let's get into the piece and see if this is worth it. The first movement is titled Fable. A pack of wolves shudder with fear as 2 mountains approach each other, crushing them without pity. A mountain walks, the other mountain comes towards it. The wolves howl, "Do not crush us. I a mountain, you too a mountain. We are indifferent to that." So this begins with resolute voice, with strong drums and really powerful keyboard strikes that I enjoy. After all, it's mountains moving. And then the most menacing whistles and flexitone you'll ever hear. The one instrument I hate on this recording that I'll mention once or twice, the lion's roar, sounds awful. I don't think that's their fault. I think lion's roars probably just sound awful. They don't sound like lion's roars. Isn't what we think of as a lion's roar actually like a dude yelling into a trash can for like the MGM logo? Rubbing a cloth on a wooden stick does not sound like what I feel like a lion should sound like. This first movement is an effective movement. It quickly paints a picture that's brief but quite enjoyable. Our second movement is Dance Song. This text cannot be translated. It sounds meaningful, but actually the words are imaginary. But there's wonderful interaction between the voice and the marimbas here. The hi-hat sound is kind of out of place. There's really tight interplay between all the sound effects happening in this second movement and the voice. So despite the text having no meaning, it's quite a well put together movement of music. The third movement is the Chinese temple, much more expansive meditative medals. This movement tries to convey the contentment of the Buddhist view of life with just simple word after word placement. The vocal sound is beautiful. There's really great pitch matching between the voice and quartet and some pleasing resonance here. This is a great movement. To catch you up real quick, the first movement was 1:12. Second movement was 57 seconds. This third movement was 2:16. So that means we're already on movement 4, Kuli. A really thick keyboard sound here. Reminds me of that one unison movement of Quartet for the End of Time. This is probably the most fun movement. There's really expressive affectations from the vocalist here, describing a Asian pariah's monotonous hopelessness and pent-up aggressiveness. The vocalist does an amazing job displaying that complaining, angry disposition. So this is a theater performance as much as a musical one. The keyboard is all just kind of like tritones falling down a whole tone scale. This is energetic and expressive, a great movement. And it was 1:53. Movement 5 is Alma Alma, Dream, chromatic harmonicas that very clearly imitate a breeze that swings an apple back and forth. I would have loved to hear more sustained pitches like those that occur briefly in the middle and at the end of the piece, rather than the kind of accordion shanty-like music that sometimes it seems to fall into. But I should go ahead and say, and I'll reiterate it at the end, that's both the frustration and the beauty of this piece. It perfectly encapsulates just that poetic sense of the briefest window into a rich world. In this case, both a rich text world and an exceedingly rich sound world that you could write a whole opera within, but instead we get 1:53. Then we have Bittersweet, a fake Hungarian folk song. This is the best of the bunch here. There's a few striking similarities to the Carolyn Shaw stuff that we've reviewed here in the past, because this is Ligeti's attempt at a pop melody, which is hilarious. The drums sound great. There's a nice woodblock tone and really rich vibraphone chords. I really have always enjoyed imagined folk songs. They speak to a kind of idyllic, rustic utopia that is so attractive, if ever unattainable. The ocarina ensemble at the very end of this movement is haunting. I'd love to hear more of that again, but it's so brief. It's just the briefest picture. The last movement, Parakeet, is a little chaotic. That lion's roar comes back and sounds awful. There's no text meaning. This is actually a bit of a weak ending. And that's the piece. Those last movements were 2:48, 2:29. The Parakeet is 40 seconds long, a very, very brief ending. And so this is a 14-minute piece. Let me try and make sure that this is under a 14-minute review. It is incredibly imaginative. Again, the strength of this is that the best poems will provide you with the most fleeting of looks into a perspective, into a world, into a dimension that you would not otherwise encounter. And I think putting a ridiculous amount of effort into a weird sound world with this laundry list of instruments, I'm always fighting with if I had to play that, I would just despise setting all that up. But as far as the effect of this, it perfectly matches that idea of a glimpse at a sound world that we could spend, hours in. But instead, it's just a brief moment, and then we move on. And we're left with that open-endedness, that wistfulness that, so many poems and short stories seek to achieve. I think it could maintain that feeling if with just a little bit more breadth. Goldbeater's Skin, I remember, solved this problem a little bit with interludes in between the poetry. I think you could have some really great interludes here, a chromatic harmonica interlude, an ocarina interlude, that could be really effective and would satisfy some of the stuff I'm feeling that was just like, oh my goodness, that 14 minutes was gone. But it's a effective composition by a master of timbre with some really great, kind of textual implications that you can look up. I'll link everything below, of course. The recording is a little bit hard to find, honestly. My best bet was a YouTube music link that I will also attach, so you can give it a try. Give it a listen. Do you think all the instruments are worth it? Do you like the different sound worlds that are evoked? Let me know, and I'll see you next week.